Want to learn something new? Yeah, me too. The ice cream machines at this location are water cooled. That means there are not units on the roof like I've shown in other videos where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, you have little condensing units like this on the roof. It cools its system by having the compressor is downstairs, and the hot discharge that it makes that we normally reject that heat upstairs to the roof, it runs around and around and around and around a little coil, you know, probably 20 plus wraps, next to insulated cold water pipes, so that the cold water is always running and rejecting the heat into that, and that lets the units run. Well, the units were going off on high head pressure. Well, I had no idea until I talked to the ownership here. They actually cool with a glycol system, and they have a water-cooled system as a backup. So what I mean by that is the water-cooled system that runs all the time is always available, but it's turned off. They have a glycol system which runs in place of the water, that instead of a water-cooled system literally just pumps water and then down the drain. It uses horrific amounts of water, but it's pretty efficient. So a glycol system glycol is a very heat transferative fluid. It's like antifreeze. So looking at this system, what it does is it's enclosed. There's a pump, there's a tank, and then there's a pressure tank. So I'm just looking at how it looks to me like the glycol, let's see which direction I think it goes. I'm not sure, we're gonna learn this together, but let's say hypothetically it's coming in this way and out that way, which, yeah, that could make sense. So this pump is pulling glycol out of the pump into this evaporator where it is cooling the glycol, right? So the glycol is running in the evaporator and it is being cooled, and then it is being sent downstairs to that system. It runs around and around. Now it's hot. It comes back up into the tank and then does the system again. So it comes back with the heat from inside, and then we displace that heat up here. Well, it was going off on high head pressure, which means this wasn't working. So I opened this up. They turned on the water, so they have ice cream. It's no problem. But, so I came up here to investigate what's going on with this. First thing I noticed is there's no caps on anything. There's oil. So I'm gonna guess that we've got a Freon leak. This is a little oily here, so just visually there's definitely a leak. There's no tags. I've got the compressor tag, but as far as the tags on this unit, everything here is old. So we have no identifiers of what is what. As far as what Freon we're using. So I've saved us some time. I actually got with Copeland. I went to the Copeland app and I went through this compressor number, and it came back, sorry, can't help you. So then I reached out to them via email, and they said, wow, that compressor is really old. It should be R22. That's all they could tell me. It should be R22. Let's grab a screwdriver. Okay. I'm gonna push this contactor in. Oh, hang on. Sorry, get in my pocket. Oh, there it is. Alright, I'm gonna bump the contactor. Unit run. the fans aren't coming on, but I'm honestly not surprised by that, because I bet the fans won't come on because it's a really hot day out, or a cold day out. I don't see anything in the sight glass at all, like anything, like empty. I'm gonna hook gauges up to this and see what it has to say, and then we'll reconvene. She is flat, completely out of gas. I don't know, because I don't have a label. I don't know how many pounds of Freon this takes. R22 is the price of gold, almost literally. So do we want to pump in an unknown amount of gas into this unit? I think what I'll do is I'll go get my nitrogen. We'll go ahead and we'll pressure test it first. I'll pump nitrogen into it and put it under pressure and see if we can't see a major leak. I mean, it looks like it was just leaking from there. So I don't think it's something catastrophic, like it's leaking from the condenser in there. Like, I don't see any evidence of that. So if I put nitrogen into it, then I've got to bring up the vacuum pump. I've got to pull a vacuum on it. I think I'm just going to weigh in 22. Let me get the rig set up. All right, I got my bottle of 22. I got it hooked up. Got it zeroed out. That's just the bottle wobbling that little bit. So I've actually already cracked this, so I brought Freon up to the end. I'm gonna go ahead and bleed in a little R22. We should be able to see, you'll see it here. You should also see it in the sight glass. See if I can clean that up a little bit. And then it should get to a certain point of pressure that it comes on. So if it's set for 58 and it's 73, let's see. There she goes. Again, I don't have a clue whether we're talking about 2 pounds of Freon. Hey, looky there. Or whether we're talking about 8 pounds of Freon. But she's short cycling now. So I've almost put in 1 pound of Freon. I still see nothing in the sight glass, which is a little disheartening. But it should also be running. So I'm maintaining, and it's not shutting off on high head pressure, at least not real high head pressure, because it's not. I mean, it's not hot. So look at there. It needs more gas. All right, more cowbell. Hey, we're starting to see some Freon in the stemma. Okay. Nice and slow, so let's see. So when the compressor runs, it's still pulling down. There's not enough Freon to keep it running. Ouch, man. Ouch. You might as well be going 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40. Yeah, it's going to be hundreds of dollars of Freon. But glass is still okay. fans did come on, so that's awesome. So we weren't off on high head pressure because of the fans. We were off on low pressure because of the Freon. So now as I turn this off, we'll see where does she stabilize. I don't know. So I'm going to use common sense here and say this is probably more like an air conditioner, right? I mean, it's all I'm doing downstairs is I'm absorbing heat from the discharge line. I'm not trying to make a freezer. I'm just running a condenser. So I'm guessing that a coil temperature of, I don't know, 25 or 30. Suction line coming back, I don't know where it's supposed to be. All I do know is I'm going to go ahead and keep filling it until the sight glass is clear. We're at 4 3/4 pounds of Freon. The other problem that it can be is it can run out of glycol. Now that shouldn't be the case because glycol is kind of like Freon. It doesn't just go somewhere. I mean, it doesn't just burn off. Compressor is hot, man. It requires cold coming back to it. It needs the Freon to keep it cool. So that short cycling that you saw, it did that all the way until it was out of gas. So low that it just said, all right, I'm not even trying anymore. And that damages the compressor. You keep doing that, and you let it go and go and go and go and go. 6 pounds of Freon, dude. At some point you question, what's your water bill going to be increased, or it's close, I think. What's your water bill going to be if you just use the water cooler system? Because at $100 a pound, which is a bargain, we just put $650 worth of Freon in this thing. Okay, turn off my gauges. About 6.5. Almost have a full sight glass. Almost. There we go. 6.5 pounds of R22. Alright, I'm going to let this run. Oh yeah, so now this is cooling down. It's still hot. It's still a discharge line, but it's not burning to the touch. Hey, we've gone from 73 to 51. Smoking. Outstanding. Alright, so that's going to get that going. So it actually just shut off because it's satisfied. Now, once we connect it to the inside and we start bringing that hot fluid back up, that's gonna raise that temperature and then it'll kick back on. I'm gonna go grab some caps from downstairs and my leak detector stuff. Just I wanna make sure there's not anything else that we're not seeing. Okay, I started to remove that and I could feel that the valve was just leaking like crazy. So there's where I made a mistake. What I should have done before I started, because the system was flat, there was no gas in it, I should have replaced the Schrader valve that's inside. I should have replaced it. Now, when systems are full of gas and you have a bad Schrader, I'll often use something like this. So what we got to do is we're going to cap both of these. We're going to go ahead and put a Schrader in one. Actually, I need to put a Schrader in both of them. And then we'll go ahead and put it on there. And that will take the place of the service port. Since that service port is bad and leaking, and the only way to correctly fix it would be to lose our 6.5 pounds of gas out of the system. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Again, would have been better if I would have thought a little more clearly and changed all the straters while it was out of gas, whether it needed it or not. It's not like it's an expense. So, all right, hang on. The other thing is, so we're at 100 PSI. There's no way, if if this were down at 20 or 30 PSI, I could probably just hold it with my thumb and put in a new strater, but nah. So let me get that put on and show you what it looks like. So after I install it, I spray leak protector on it, and this is why, look, it's still leaking. And tighten it up more. When you tighten these up, you gotta grab this with a wrench and tighten that, because otherwise you'll twist that right off, you'll break that weld. Okay, so I was able to get almost a full turn out of it. Now, it's not suds growing, that's just the, I think it's just so hanging, see. Yeah, and this one, and all of the caps and the tips. Again, you're talking about a massive cost of Freon today. I want to protect it, keep it in the system. All right, we're gonna put this back together and go downstairs, switch from water to glycol.